Over 500,000 were built, and they are still plowing fields nearly 80 years later. One of them was designed with a handshake deal that ended in a bitter lawsuit. Another was so tough that 5 million were produced, and farmers still argue about whether the red one or the green one is better. These are not museum pieces. These are old farming machines that wake up every morning, start their engines, and go back to work. Here are 10 that simply refuse to die. Number 10. Massey Ferguson 35. The Massey Ferguson 35 is one of those tractors that just does not know when to quit. Introduced in 1957, the MF35 was powered by a Perkins 3-cylinder diesel engine producing between 32 and 41 horsepower. It was a compact, lightweight tractor designed for versatility and fuel efficiency, and it delivered both in spades. The MF35 featured the Ferguson System 3-point hitch, which was a revolutionary design that allowed implements to be mounted directly to the tractor and controlled hydraulically. This system, originally developed by Harry Ferguson and first used on the Ford 9N in 1939, made the MF35 extraordinarily easy to operate. A single farmer could hitch, raise, lower, and adjust implements without ever leaving the seat. What makes the MF35 remarkable is not just that it was popular in the 1950s and 1960s. It is that you can still find them working on small farms, hobby farms, and estates across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas today. The combination of a bomb-proof Perkins diesel, simple mechanical systems, and widely available spare parts means that a well-maintained MF35 can run indefinitely. Walk into any agricultural parts supplier in Europe and you can still buy new components for a tractor that went out of production over 60 years ago. That is the definition of a machine that refuses to die. Number 9. John Deere 4T20. If you ask 100 American farmers to name the greatest tractor ever built, a significant number of them will say the John Deere 4T20 without even thinking about it. Introduced in 1964 as part of John Deere's New Generation series, the 4T20 was available with either a gasoline or diesel engine and produced between 84 and 96 horsepower depending on the configuration. By 1966, the 4T20 accounted for 48% of all tractor sales for John Deere. Just under 185,000 were manufactured between 1963 and 1972. The tractor was offered with John Deere's synchro-range transmission with 8 forward and 4 reverse speeds, or the optional power shift transmission that allowed full power shifting without clutching. It was powerful enough to handle heavy plowing and planting, yet nimble enough for row crop work. What made the 4T20 legendary was not any single feature. It was the total package. The engine was reliable and economical. The hydraulics were strong, the transmission was smooth, the controls were intuitive. The 4T20 was simply a tractor that did everything well and nothing badly. More than 50 years after the last one rolled off the assembly line, thousands of John Deere 4T20s are still working on farms across North America. They are used for everything from feeding cattle to mowing hay to pulling grain carts during harvest. Replacement parts are still manufactured and readily available, and the online community of 4T20 owners and restorers is massive. Number 8. International Farm H. The Farmall H was the #1 selling row crop tractor of all time in North America. Between 1939 and 1953, including the final 2 years when it was sold as the Super H, a total of 420,000 to 1:1 units were produced. Only the Ford 8N slightly outsold it in total numbers, but the Farmall H dominated the row crop category without competition. The H was powered by a 152 cubic inch 4-cylinder gasoline engine, producing approximately 24 horsepower at the drawbar and 26 horsepower on the belt. It featured a 5-speed transmission, a live power takeoff, and the distinctive Farmall tricycle front end with 2 narrow front wheels that allowed it to navigate between crop rows. The tractor weighed approximately 3,885 pounds and was affordable enough for small and medium-sized family farms. The Farmall H was designed to do the work of a team of horses, and that is exactly what it did for hundreds of thousands of American farm families. It plowed, cultivated, planted, mowed, and hauled. It was simple to operate, easy to maintain, and astonishingly durable. Today, Farmall H's are still found on working farms, particularly in the Midwest. They are also among the most popular tractors at vintage iron shows and pulls across the country. Over 80 years after its introduction, the Farmall H keeps running. Number 7. Ford 8N. The Ford 8N is by most measures the best-selling individual tractor model of all time in North America. Over 524,000 units were manufactured between July 1947 and 1952, and a staggering number of them are still in operation today. The 8N was powered by a 119.7 cubic inch four-cylinder gasoline engine producing approximately 30 horsepower, and it weighed between 2,410 and 2,717 pounds, depending on configuration. The 8N was the culmination of the Ford N series that began with the 9N in 19. That original tractor was born from a handshake agreement between Henry Ford and Harry Ferguson to use Ferguson's revolutionary three-point hitch system. When the partnership dissolved in a bitter lawsuit in 1947, Ford redesigned the hydraulic system for the 8N to work around Ferguson's patents. The result was the position control system, which allowed the operator to set implements at a fixed height regardless of soil conditions. The 8N introduced a four-speed transmission, replacing the three-speed used in the 9N and 2N. It was also the first Ford tractor to feature a clutch on the left side and independent brakes on the right. The original price in 1952 was $1,404, significantly cheaper than the competing Farmall H at $2,000. That affordability, combined with Ford's massive production capacity, made the 8N accessible to nearly every farmer in America. 7 decades later, the Ford 8N remains one of the most common vintage tractors still in daily use. Its simple design, plentiful parts availability, and enormous owner community keep these machines alive. In 2009, New Holland even produced a retro-styled modern tractor designed to resemble the 8N, though it shared no actual parts with the original. That is how powerful the legend remains. Number 6. Allis-Chalmers WD45. The Allis-Chalmers WD45 was the first Allis-Chalmers tractor to offer factory power steering, and it became one of the most beloved tractors in the company's history. Just over 90,000 units were produced between 1953 and 1957, with 83,536 equipped with gasoline engines and 6,509 with diesels. The WD45 was powered by a 226 cubic inch four-cylinder engine and featured the traction booster system, which automatically transferred weight to the rear wheels when pulling an implement, improving traction in tough conditions. The power steering option was a revelation for farmers who had spent years wrestling with heavy manual steering boxes on older machines. Combined with live hydraulics and a snap coupler hitch system that made implement changes fast and easy, the WD45 was a productivity machine that farmers adored. Allis-Chalmers painted all their tractors in Persian orange, a distinctive color that made them instantly recognizable in any field. The company's advertising slogan was, "The Golden Age, the radiant orange across fields." Today, the WD45 remains a highly sought-after collector's tractor, but it is also still found doing real work on smaller farms and homesteads. The engine is simple to rebuild, parts are available, and the tractor's modest size makes it perfect for the kind of work that modern tractors are too large and too expensive to justify. Number 5. International Farmall. If the Farmall H was the workhorse for small farms, the Farmall M was the powerhouse for larger operations. Produced from 1939 to 1954, including the Super M and Super MTA variants, approximately 270,000 Farmall Ms were built, together with the 420,011 Farmall H produced during the same period. International Harvester put nearly 700,000 of these two models into the field. That is a staggering number that explains why Farmalls dominated American agriculture for an entire generation. The MA was powered by a 248 cubic inch four-cylinder engine available in gasoline, distillate, and diesel configurations. It produced approximately 33 horsepower at the drawbar and 36 horsepower on the belt in its original form. The later Super MTA introduced a torque amplifier that allowed the operator to shift under load without stopping, a game-changing feature for field work. The M weighed approximately 5,200 pounds and could handle a four-bottom plow with ease. The Farmall M was the tractor that industrialized the American Midwest. It was large enough to handle serious acreage, but affordable enough that a family farmer could justify the investment. During the 1940s and 1950s, International Harvester Farmall dominated the tractor market, and farmers classified themselves as either red for IH or green for John Deere. The arguments about which was better raged within families and across fence lines. More than 70 years later, those same arguments continue, and Farmall M's are still running to prove the red side's point. Number 4. John Deere Model A and B. John Deere's Model A and Model B were the tractors that cemented the company's reputation as a maker of reliable, farmer-friendly machines. The Model A was manufactured from 1934 to 1952, with approximately 300,000 units sold. The Model B's production run spanned from 1935 to 1952, with 55,670 units sold. Combined, over 355,000 of these tractors were put into service, and a remarkable number are still running today. Both tractors were powered by John Deere's signature horizontal two-cylinder engines, which gave them a distinctive putt-putt exhaust note that earned John Deere tractors the affectionate nickname Johnny Poppers. The two-cylinder design was simpler, lighter, and easier to maintain than the 4- and 6-cylinder engines used by competitors. The Model A was the larger of the two, designed as a full-size row-crop tractor, while the Model B was a smaller, lighter machine suitable for 1- and 2-row cultivation. The A and B were available in a bewildering array of configurations, including standard tread, wide front, narrow front, high crop, orchard, and industrial versions. This versatility made them suitable for almost any farming operation. Their adjustable rear wheel spacing allowed them to fit between crop rows of different widths. The two-cylinder engines would run on gasoline, kerosene, or distillate fuel, giving farmers flexibility depending on what was available and affordable. The simplicity of the two-cylinder design is the key reason so many survive today. There are fewer parts to fail, and those parts are large, robust, and easy to access. A competent farmer with basic tools can rebuild a John Deere two-cylinder engine in a weekend. The parts supply chain for these tractors remains strong, and the community of two-cylinder enthusiasts is one of the most dedicated in the collector tractor world. Number 3. Farmall Cub. The Farmall Cub holds a record that no other tractor on this list can match. It was in continuous production for 32 years. Introduced in 1947 and produced until 1979, the Cub was the smallest tractor in the International Harvester Farmall lineup, and it was designed for a very specific market, the small farms, truck farms, and horse farms that had previously relied on a single mule or horse for their power needs. The Cub was powered by a 60 cubic inch 4-cylinder gasoline engine producing approximately 10 horsepower, mated to a 3-speed transmission. It had a 69-inch wheelbase, weighed under 1,500 pounds, and sold for just $545 when it was introduced in 1947. The design featured Cultivision, which offset the engine slightly to the left, so the operator had a clear line of sight to the right side of the tractor for close cultivation work. This was an IH innovation introduced in 1939 that remained in production through the Cub's entire life. The Cub was manufactured at the Farmall Works in Louisville, Kentucky, which had been converted from a wartime Curtiss-Wright aircraft factory. Despite its diminutive size, the Cub was a real tractor that could plow, cultivate, mow, haul, and even operate a belly-mounted mower deck. It became enormously popular with small acreage owners, gardeners, nurseries, and estate maintenance operations. Today, the Farmall Cub has one of the largest and most enthusiastic owner communities in the vintage tractor world. Because of its 32-year production run and relatively high survival rate, Cubs are plentiful, parts are readily available, and working examples can be found on properties across the country doing everything from garden tilling to snow removal. Number 2. Massey Ferguson 135. The Massey Ferguson 145 is not just a tractor that refuses to die. It is a tractor that refuses to die on every continent. Introduced in 1964, the MF145 was powered by a Perkins 3-cylinder diesel engine, producing approximately 45 horsepower. It was compact, lightweight, maneuverable, and almost supernaturally reliable. The MF135 was manufactured at Massey Ferguson's Coventry factory in England, at the Banner Lane plant that had been built during World War II for aircraft engine production. From there, it was exported to virtually every farming nation on Earth. The MF135 became particularly dominant in the United Kingdom, Ireland, France, Australia, New Zealand, East Africa, and the Middle East. It was the standard tractor for small and medium-sized farms in countries where larger American machines were impractical or too expensive. What made the 135 legendary was its utter simplicity and durability. The Perkins diesel engine was practically indestructible if properly maintained. The hydraulics were straightforward, the transmission was robust. There was nothing on the tractor that could not be repaired by a village mechanic with basic tools and common parts. This was critical for markets in developing countries where dealership networks and specialized tools were unavailable. More than 50 years after production ended, the Massey Ferguson 135 remains one of the most commonly used tractors in the world. In parts of Africa, the Middle East and South Asia, the MF135 is still the backbone of agricultural mechanization. The global aftermarket parts supply for this tractor is enormous, with manufacturers in India, Turkey, Pakistan, and China producing components. The MF135 did not just refuse to die, it refused to stop being essential. Number 1. Ford Ferguson 9N, Ford 8N, Ford NAA. Our number 1 spot goes not to a single tractor but to a family of machines that collectively changed farming forever and are still doing it today. The Ford N-Series tractors, beginning with the 9N in 1939 and continuing through the 2N, 8N, and NAA Golden Jubilee, represent the most important and longest surviving line of small tractors in agricultural history. The story begins with a handshake. In 1938, Henry Ford and Harry Ferguson agreed to collaborate on a tractor that would incorporate Ferguson's 3-point hitch system. That handshake deal produced the Ford 9N, introduced on June 29, 1939 in Dearborn, Michigan. The 9N was the first American production tractor to feature a 3-point hitch and rear PTO combination, a system that is still the global standard for tractor implement attachment on virtually every tractor made today. A total of 99,002 9N tractors were manufactured from 1939 to 1942, with an original price of just $585. The wartime 2N followed from 1942 to 1947. Built with various compromises due to material shortages, including steel wheels instead of rubber on some models. Then came the legendary 8N in July 1947, which became the top-selling individual tractor model of all time in North America with over 524,000 units produced. The 8N added a 4-speed transmission, improved hydraulics, and the position control system. The partnership between Ford and Ferguson ended in a bitter lawsuit, but the 3-point hitch system they introduced together became the universal standard. Ferguson sued Ford for $251 million, and the case was eventually settled in 1952 for $9.25 million. Despite the legal drama, both parties went on to build successful tractor businesses. Ferguson merged with Massey Harris to form Massey Ferguson in 1950. Ford continued with the NAA Golden Jubilee in 1953, which introduced an overhead valve engine and live hydraulics. The total production across the 9N, 2N, 8N, and NAA models exceeded 750,000 tractors, and an astonishing percentage of them survive today. The Ford N-Series tractors are found on working farms, hobby farms, and estates in every state in America and in countries around the world. Aftermarket parts suppliers still stock thousands of components. Online forums dedicated to N-Series tractors have tens of thousands of active members. Restoration guides, how-to videos, and service manuals are freely available. These tractors were designed to be affordable, simple, and easy to repair. Henry Ford insisted that any farmer should be able to maintain his own tractor with basic tools, and that philosophy is the reason these machines are still alive. The 3-point hitch system they popularized is on every tractor built today. The simple, accessible design philosophy they embodied remains the gold standard for what a small tractor should be. The Ford N-Series did not just refuse to die, they refused to become irrelevant. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling me which of these immortal machines impressed you the most. I will see you in the next one.